For where your is, there also is your heart. This is Matthew chapter 6. For where your treasures is, there also will your heart be. What do you treasure? What do you really treasure? Where is your heart at? What are you most concerned about? Either for good or bad of that thing or that someone. That's what you treasure. That's what you value. And what you value and treasure, there is your heart. So the message is very clear. Let's have treasures in heaven. Let's have our priority in that. And looking our sight towards heaven. And there to treasure things that will be treasured in heaven. Now, in that same spirit, I really admire what Paul treasures. In the context of the second letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians, chapter 11, you hear Paul's concern for the people that has been entrusted to him. He's developed this small community in Corinthians, and he's concerned for them. He spent time with them, evangelized, raised them, educate them. And on his time away, this is a letter he's writing to the people in Corinthians, he hears of some super apostles trying to convince the people that they are the true apostles and not Paul. The community that Paul worked so hard for to build, to raise, now someone else wants to claim it for himself as a super apostle. And these super apostles, I guess, have been sharing their vita curriculum, the things they've done in their lives so as to impress the Corinthians, and the Corinthians are now following them. And Paul, whose greatest treasure is the people that has been entrusted with him, so that the gospel may grow in communities, people may be saved. His treasure is the seal for souls and for salvation of the people entrusted to him. He now goes through his whole curriculum. So, they're the super apostles? All right. I never wanted to boast about this, but okay, you want to do comparison? Let's do comparison. Bring it on. What do they say they are? Oh, they say that they are Hebrews. So I am Hebrew too. Oh, they say they're children of Israel. So am I. They're saying they're descendants of Abraham. So am I. They're saying that they're ministers of Christ. And then he says, I am still more, with far greater labor, far more imprisonment, far worse beating, and numerous brushes with death. And then he goes into the litany of articulating the many hardships that he endured. I'm glad he did this, otherwise many of these things we won't know about what Paul went through as he was raised in their community, this community of Corinth, and in many communities in faith. But notice, he's trying to make an argument what makes him a better apostle than those who claim to be the super apostles. The answer that he gives us an idea of what he treasures for the sake of the gospel. Not only that, but also sets a standard for us. If we also want to be like Paul, great apostles and followers of Christ, then something of this should be also in our curriculum and our resume. Do we have anything of this? His resume goes as this. 5 times I've been, it says, 5 times at the hand of the Jews, I received 40 lashes minus 1. How many here have been lashed for teaching and following Christ Jesus? 3 times I was beaten with a rod. Well, I know a doctor here with his eye and wonder if it was the wife or for the gospel. Who knows what's going on there? Or maybe that was just 1 rod and 1 punch. Who knows? 3 times I was shipwrecked. How many of you have been stuck in the middle of a highway, a flat tire, because you were heading to help someone or to preach or to proclaim the gospel, to build God's kingdom? On frequent journeys, in danger from river, from robbers, from his own race, from the Gentiles, dangers in the cities, danger in the wilderness, danger at sea, danger among false brothers. How many of us have put ourselves into danger for the sake of the gospel? In toil and in hardship, through many sleepless nights, through hunger and thirst, through frequent fasting, through cold and exposure. That's what he treasures, being able to offer all of this for the building of his kingdom. And in his category, that's what makes an apostle a super apostle, a follower of Christ, a super disciple, a super Christian. And that's, we're called to follow in the ways of Paul's and in the ways of the saints. Now, what I find very curious is, after he goes through all the physical things he endured, and you could tell it's like building up. And the more he saved up the best for the last, the big bang, so as to make a good argument of what really makes me a super apostle and what should make us super apostles. He says, apart from all these things, and different translation says, apart from these external things, apart from all this, and here comes a big punch. There is the daily pressures upon me of my anxieties for all the churches. So yes, the physical, the beating, the imprisonment, the cold, the hunger, but even more torturous is the daily concerns. I was looking at a little study of the word when he refers to daily pressures and anxieties and looking at the Greek word. And the actual Greek word, it's a word that is also used for a riot or a revolt, or when a mob is gathering together with ill intention, with violence, to protest, to turn over a government, to beat someone up. That's the type of anxiety he struggles every day. It's almost like it's in his mind, there's a bunch of voices rising and almost gathering up as to beat up Paul in anxieties and in concern, to revolt against him in his own inner mind, in his own inner heart. So we thank God for the great example of witness of St. Paul, but it really challenges us. So the question, where are your treasures? We see where the treasures of Paul's are at. And that which you value is where your heart will be. Is your heart in the right place? Are you willing to go to extremes, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to build God's kingdom? Are your treasures in the building of the kingdom of heaven, or are you building kingdoms here on earth? We ask Paul to continue to intercede for us, and may his life truly be an inspiration for us to build up treasures in heaven so as to be welcomed into his kingdom for all eternity.